The standard bench press is going to be an awesome exercise to build lots of upper body strength. You're going to feel this across the chest, the front of the delts. You might feel it in the backs of the shoulders, and you may even feel it in like the forearms or other accessory places like in the glutes or in the back as you're clamping down, keeping the body nice and solid as you're going through the exercise. So whenever you first are setting this up, you want to have the barbell set up so that when you lay down, your arms have a little bit of space so that they can straighten and get the bar off without you having to do a whole repetition. So I would do like a little bit less than an arm's length from the bench. And then when you're setting up the bench, it needs to be centered, and the top of the bench should be pushed back just slightly, because whenever you lay down, your whole head needs to be on the bench. And I would personally line your eyes up with the bar. So you'd actually roll the bar forward so it's all the way at the end of your J-hooks. And then the bar is lined up with your eyes so you can easily get the bar off. If you're too far back, then when you go to take the bar off, you're going to actually end up smacking into the hooks every single time you do a repetition. So make sure that you're far enough down that you can clear the hooks, but far enough back so that you can get the bar off of the hooks. Now, if you're a little bit shorter, you can always add something underneath your feet in order to keep your feet connected to the ground. You want to try to have the feeling of pushing solidly through both feet on every repetition. So as it gets harder, you're not going to lift your feet off of the ground. Instead, you're going to clamp down, squeeze the glutes, press the feet and heels into the floor, and then use that to kind of drive the movement upwards. So you can always use yoga blocks and place those down to give you some more height, and you can adjust the distance based on how long your thighs and back are as well. But that's going to be a great option for your initial setup. Now, ideally, you're going to have a spotter for this, just because if you get to the point where you can't get the bar up anymore, you need someone there to take the bar off of you. If you don't have a spotter, you can always take safety bars and set those up here. Those would be useful if you're going for heavier weights. So since I'm just demonstrating, I don't have the bars up, but if I was going for like 10, 8, 6 repetitions or even fewer, you would always want those safety bars there, because if you need to bail, you just set the bar right on top of those safety bars. The bar is not touching your body, so you'll be good to go there. The height of the safety bars should pretty much be just higher than your chest. So you're not going to quite reach chest level, but that's just for safety reasons, obviously. Okay, so whenever you initially get set up, you're going to lay back onto your back. And once again, like I said, you'd ideally have your feet on the ground. Now, if you've got like a pre-existing condition where you have a back issue, if you're pregnant, or whatever, if you have something going on with your abs, you can place your feet up onto the bench, but that slightly changes the dynamics of the movement, and you're probably not going to be using as much weight. It's going to make you a little bit more unstable. So just keep in mind, if you need to do it with your feet on the bench, you can, but ideally for this version of the exercise, we're referring to having the feet on the ground. Okay, so I've got my eyes lined up here. Now, whenever you do your hands, you're not going to be grabbing at shoulder width. That would be closer to close grip. We're going to actually have the hands out a little bit wider than the shoulders. So if you just take your hands and reach them straight out in front of you, go slightly wider, that's probably going to be your bench press position. Personally, I like to use the gradient that is on the bar. Just, it's easier for me. The smooth gradient is about as wide as my shoulders. So personally, I go just outside the smooth gradient and I grab the rough part of the gradient. You can do it however you see fit, but just remember, a little bit wider than the shoulders at least, and you'll see that competition lifters will actually go a lot wider than that, so you can try that as well. Okay, so we're going to lay back, rolling the bar all the way down. I've got the bar lined up with my eyes, feet are nice and flat, my heels don't quite comfortably reach, but I've still got the balls of my feet on the floor, so that's going to be okay. I'm centering up the bar here, got my hands at the edge of the smooth gradient, we're pretty even there, so from here, I'm going to slightly extend my arms, slightly push my shoulders up, and I've got the bar settled right over my chest. So I'm not going to start right away. You want to center the bar over the chest, get nice and stable first, and then you'll first bring the bar down. Okay, so we're going to try to bring the bar down so that the forearms are vertical toward the ceiling. So the length of the arms is going to determine where the bar touches on your body. I'm going just below chest level for me, so just below the middle of my chest, rather than being up nice and high. A lot of times beginners will take the bar and they'll actually kind of go to the middle of their chest, but then you end up with your elbows out like this. And we're not trying to bench press like we're making a T shape. Instead, we're gonna tuck those elbows kind of down. So if my elbows are at like 45 degrees, this is gonna be optimal bench press position to use the pectorals and not just the delts, which could put a lot of pressure on the delts. We wanna keep that emphasis on the chest. So drop those elbows down to 45 degrees. So setting up the bar, pulling it down, you'll see now I've got my hands like right about kind of mid-chest level. As the arms come down, I'm arcing down slightly. So I have to follow the angle of the arm. So that bar is not going to come straight down. It's going to actually arc downward a little bit and come just below my chest level. And then from there, when I push up, the bar is going to arc back up to that start position. So I may end up at like upper chest, maybe throat level. Some people will even say go to head level, but that's probably going to be too far back. But just over your shoulders, this is where you want to end up stacking. Okay, so down and then up. And once you get used to that rhythm, it'll be really easy to add on weight. You won't feel like the bar is unstable. It's gonna always feel unstable at first. If you're not used to doing bench press, the bar is gonna feel like it's wiggling all over the place. You're gonna feel like you have one arm pushing harder than the other. That's totally part of the process. You just have to get used to using the bar. If you're not strong enough to use the bar, start off by using like a body bar or which is just one of those straight weighted bars, or an easy curl bar, or even a dowel. Just get used to the motion first and then graduate yourself up to the regular bar. As you get stronger here, then you can start adding on your weight. But once again, when you're adding weight, it's super important that your form stays pristine. So keep those feet flat. It is okay to have a little bit of an arch in the back. When those feet are flat on the ground, it actually helps to utilize the pectorals a little bit more. So a little bit of an arch in the back is okay. It also helps to protect the intervertebral discs. So when you're on the bench and your back is arched, it actually puts a little bit of, it actually opens up a little bit of space on the front side of your discs in your spine. So that way, whenever you're bearing down and you're pushing, you're not putting a ton of pressure down on those discs. So that's another safety mechanism that you can do, okay? So remember, safety bars will be a good option as well. Having a spotter, arching the back a little bit, keeping those feet flat. And if you get to a repetition where you're not sure if you're gonna be able to finish it out, if you don't have a spotter, don't go to failure. Just go ahead and quit there. There's not really an excessive need to take it all the way to failure unless you're going to be maxing out trying to find a 1RM, a 5RM, things like that.